Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 139 episode of the LIBERcast. Two great shows this week, all about shadow work. And there's a coming podcast in the French side about the travail de l'ombre. It's going to be a continuation of the first that I did. So for the people who are French and you're listening there, it's coming. So we're gonna punch, we're gonna take out the gloves on this one on the French side. Thank you so much, people, for being there tonight. Thank you for joining in. Thank you to the guests that were being there, and to my guest tonight, Cynthia. You're the pillars of the LIBERcast. I'm doing it because this is the right thing to do. I'm not doing it because I have the time I'm very busy, and I'm doing it because it's the right thing and it's the good thing to do. It's to talk about these things and exposing the shadow. And this is what we're gonna talk about tonight with Cynthia. So first I'm gonna do my plug there. One Great Work Network.com that I'm proudly part of. It's a network of awesome content creators. I think there's 70 or more of them on the network, and there's French stuff there. There's Spanish. There's a lot an infinite amount of information, all for free. You don't have to register. You don't have to give your email address. You go on the site and you discover it. There's no justification for not doing it. The information is there. Content creators, all working on the same page. That's it. So tonight's gonna be an uncover conversation after having Mark for the second time and talking about shadow work. Great show, by the way, if you want to see it. Just before this one, the 138 episode of the LIBERcast. So I'm gonna introduce my guest right now. Hello, Cynthia.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you, sister, for being there tonight and sharing your time with me
Yes,
and with the guests and with the people will I invite people who have comments and questions. I'm gonna try to stay aware of them
yes,
and follow. So Cynthia, can you talk to me about who you are and what is your work?
absolutely, absolutely. Again, I'm Cynthia Mitchell, and I am the host of my own natural law podcast, Affirm Life Daily. And I was a student of Mark Passio, the person you were just talking about that you had on recently. That's my website there, affirmlifedaily.com. There's tons of resources on there. There's all my previous podcasts. There's a resource page with everything from, books to videos to documentaries to movies to music to products you can buy that are natural and healthy for you, affirmations, poetry. There's just a ton of information, and of course there's a natural law page where you can learn so much more about natural law. So I invite you to follow on social media at Affirm Life Daily and to check out the website and subscribe to the newsletter. But this was just a passion project for me. Just like, you were saying, it's not like I just had, a ton of time on my hands and didn't know what to do with it. Um, it's the right thing to do. It needs to be done. We are in a serious situation right now, and the gravity of it, I think, is being really underestimated by a lot of people. And, no matter what way we end up getting out of this, whatever we build, when we build the new, if natural law is not understood and embraced, we will end up right back in the same situation that we're in now. There's no way around it. So that's why it was so important for me to start spreading the word of natural law and educating people about it, because it's crucial. It's crucial to our long-term freedom.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And and I can only, when I'm talking about shadow work, most of the time I try to talk about my own experience, because I can only talk about my experience
Right.
because I don't know about other people.
Right.
And I think it's the greatest gift that you can give to yourself. It's not an easy thing. It's not it's not gonna be funny. No, there's nothing funny about it, and depends on what experience you have in life. It's gonna be harder for some, more
Yes.
easier for other people. But
Yes.
the thing is it we all have something in common when we're doing shadow work. We
Right.
want freedom.
Yes. Yes.
That's it. And we don't have to, create echo chambers and things like that to
Right.
realize that. And because, well, you can have help from the outside. You can have, exercises and advice that people can give you, but there's nothing like looking at yourself in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
like confronting
Yep.
who you are,
Yeah.
and
Going
being
within.
honest, you know and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of beautiful things that spawn from this. And
Absolutely.
there's
Absolutely.
a moment of I don't stillness, if I can use this word. This is what I live, uh, uh, after a few years of shadow working. I'm more in calm. I'm um, more in tune with my emotion. When I don't need them,
Yeah.
I don't have them.
Yeah.
I respect them. And I'm let them through, and I live it, and afterward I let it go.
Yeah.
Because by experience, it's the worst thing is to keep it inside of you and repressing it.
Press it.
It
Right.
destroys you by the inside. So
Yeah.
it's
Because it's
it's
gonna
to
go
be.
somewhere. That energy has to go somewhere.
Yes.
So it doesn't disappear. So where is it gonna go if you repress it? And you have to think about that. Because my question to people, when they don't want to do the shadow work, when they don't want to do the internal work, but they want the world to change. How in the world can the world change if the individuals within the world don't change first?
Hmm.
It's impossible.
Yes, absolutely. And well, this is what Mark was talking about,
Yep. Yep.
and being in cognitive dissonance all the time,
Mm-hmm.
when you before you're taking a decisions, you're not sacrificing time, because this is
Right.
all we have. So if you not don't take the time, you will not have the time. You have to make it.
Yes. Yes.
And for you and me, like, we have family, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have to deal with it, because you have to keep interacting and having a beautiful relationship with, for myself, it's my wife and my kids. And it's a battle.
Yeah.
It's a battle, because when you're having a response, when you're doing something and it's wrong, then you're gonna know it, and your children will know it. Children are very smart.
Yes.
They see through you,
Yes.
children. And that's why this respect that people pretend to give, they don't have that for themselves. They
Right.
don't have this self-love, this self-care, this self-respect. They don't have that. They don't have limits. They don't have boundaries. People trample all over them all the time. It's We have to get better at better humans, then we're gonna have better results,
Right.
because our actions are gonna be based on two good knowledge,
Right.
with
Yeah.
with
Exactly.
the
You
caring
can
aspect.
only reap what we sow. You don't plant
Absolutely.
a seed for an orange tree and expect apples to grow. That's not going to happen. So whatever we're sowing, whatever the foundation is, that's what we're going to reap. So we have to change from within. That has to start there. And like when I started my podcast, it was shortly after I had lost my husband of 27 years. So I was in the midst of doing all types of shadow work and going through all types of grief. And I still knew it was something that I had to do. I knew it was something that I had to do. It was just too important not to do. I have kids, and this world is not suitable. And it's important. It's important work. So thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure, really.
Yeah.
Um, because I think we have to stop and lying to ourselves about a lot of things, about the way we're treating the others and we're treating ourselves, and this reaction we have
Yeah.
with the external world. Things
Mhm.
happen, and the only freedom that we have is how do you gonna react
Yeah.
to these
Yeah.
things.
That's
So
true.
you have an altercation with someone, there's things happening, we don't have to agree on everything, but what what we need is to sit down and talk about things. We're going to, even in the shadow work is the same thing. You sit down and then you have this conversation, this dialogue with
Yeah, you're
yourself.
just doing it with yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
So you have this relationship that you have with yourself. It's going to be a huge influence on how you're going to treat people.
Mm-hmm. Right. It all starts
I'm
with you.
very strict with myself. I'm not a perfect person, as far as as I can
As far
be,
as you know.
but I'm very strict with myself.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean I'm strict with my children, but I'm very strict with myself, and I'm very honest. You know, so I don't, this relationship, this respect that I give me, my boundaries, I it's the same thing for the external world.
Yeah.
I treat the others like I treat myself.
Yes. And such a simple principle to live by. And this world would be very, very different if people just live by even just that principle alone. Treat
Yep,
others how you want to be treated.
yep.
Very
And
simple
and
principle.
as it sounds simple, it's simple, but it's not, and
Right.
even the people like me and you that are doing it for years, it's never easy,
Right.
because
Oh.
there's gonna be things that gonna happen to you, or it's gonna trigger you,
Hmm.
a bad way,
Yep.
and
And we've
lately,
been exposed to so much programming and conditioning and indoctrination and you know,
yeah, all the horrors that we are witnessing in the world, and not being able to do something about it.
right. Yeah. Yeah. It will trouble you down to your deepest core.
I
Yeah.
cannot believe that here in Canada we're treating children and elderly people this way. I cannot fucking believe it. It's horrifying.
It's some pretty insane. Yeah, I've heard some pretty insane stories about things that are going on there.
Have you seen Soylent Green?
I have.
Okay, so Canada now it's Soylent Green.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
like
Anyone
I'm
who
not
has
sure
not
that
seen that
we're not
movie,
eating our
watch
dead.
that movie. If you have not seen that movie,
I
it's
mean,
willing to
I
watch.
mean, I'm not sure that we're eating our dead, but
I'm not so sure that we're not, but that's a
yes,
whole nother
exactly.
episode. These fast food restaurants, I don't know. It's a little
But
question.
actually, people who are tired of living, they are having a bad time. They suicidal assistance
Yeah.
from the government.
It's just, I heard it's just like commonplace now. You can just, oh yeah, I want
Yeah,
you guys to kill me. And
yeah,
it's just like, oh, okay. Like, really? Yeah, I heard it's just rampant there now.
it's ghastly.
They're
This is
like
what it is.
encouraging people to do this. It,
That's fucking horrifying.
it is horrifying. They're actually, yeah, they're encouraging people to do this, making them feel like they're a burden. Why don't you just get rid of yourself?
This is a
Unbelievable.
this
I don't
is
think a lot of
a
people know what's going on in Canada
yeah. Well,
and
I
what's going to
mean,
be going on here. They don't. They think that somehow we're special, and the things that are happening in other places are. It's going to happen here too. That's why you need to be. That's one of the reasons you should be concerned about what happens to other people. Of course, for the fact that they're people, they're part of you. We're all part of one. But don't think that you're that. Oh, there's no way that can happen here. Don't think that. You're fooling yourself if you think that.
yeah. This world is way worse than 1984. It's
Mm-hmm.
way worse than
Yep.
Soylent Green. It's
Yep.
something. When I saw the 4 last years, I was saying in my head, "That's it.
Yeah.
We're gonna fucking taste. We're gonna hit the wall hard,"
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because the precision of this psyop was
It's impressive.
incredible.
It's impressive.
I was astonished. You're disgusted, by what you're seeing, but I was fairly impressed by it.
It's impressive. It's like, wow, they have got this so designed and just they execute it to perfection. And then we're in the meantime just all about division. Their divide and conquer strategy has worked perfectly because we can't come together to do a single thing. And they're just orchestrating their plan like clockwork.
Yeah, spiritual warfare.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Say, I mean, inversion of everything. So
Inversion.
humans are inverted,
Yes.
society is inverted, and everything we are creating now is more confusion, more chaos,
Yep. Yep.
more lies,
Yep.
more death,
Yes.
more pain.
Yes. And that's
Because
not good.
we're
That's what Satanism is. It's just the inversion of what is good, what is natural, what is holy. It's not worshiping the devil. It's not, that is Satanism, is that inversion.
yep, yeah, and this is why we're doing the shadow work.
That's exactly it. So we can get out of that cycle, out of that mindset.
I mean, I'm gonna talk more about it, and really try to make it, clear and trying to be. We need it so
Yeah.
bad
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's a lot of freedom pretenders and things like that, and I don't think they understand the responsibilities that are attached to what we what we want it
Yeah.
to be.
Yes.
There's responsibilities to it, and
Yes.
it's not gonna be beautiful. It's not gonna be a beautiful thing.
No.
So
It's no
we there.
cakewalk. That's for sure.
So I know you made beautiful slides, and
Yes.
I would really want the people to see it. So
Okay.
if you
Let me see
so
here.
by the way, people, if you have questions, comments, things
Yeah.
like that, I've seen them. I see Aaron, Yufalu.
Can you see that on your end?
Let me see. Here we go. Mathieu Leclerc, Chris.
You can see it.
Yes.
Oh wait, is it really small?
Yes.
Okay, let me make it. I'm gonna put it back big. Okay, I just won't be able to see myself, but that's fine. So yeah, but I wanted to, really focus it on, moving beyond that victimhood mentality
Hmm.
to empowerment. Did you have? What did anyone have any questions before I started?
No, no,
No.
you can go on. No
Go ahead.
problem.
Okay. So I first just wanted to give like a basic definition because I always like to set a groundwork so that we're talking about the same thing. So what is shadow work? Shadow work is just identifying, exploring, and integrating the hidden parts of yourself that you have, suppressed or buried or repressed into your subconscious. It can also be considered like a form of light work, literally, because you are shining light where there was darkness. So we repress stuff for a lot of different reasons, parts of ourselves. And I'm going to talk about the bullet points here, each of these reasons in more depth. So one is that, we repress something because it's associated with a serious trauma that we've experienced. It may be something that's frowned upon socially. You find that part of yourself bad, immoral, unacceptable. So you suppress, repress. You're afraid of the emotional pain the experience may bring forth. I think that is probably the biggest reason that people don't do shadow work. They do not want to experience the emotional pain that you have to deal with when you're doing this work. And I think the next one is the second biggest reason. They don't want the responsibility that comes with healing and self-empowerment. Because now you can't play the role of victim. You can't blame XYZ and everyone to the right and left of you. Some of that blame has to come here for your current state of being, and people, that's terrifying for them to have to take that kind of responsibility. And then the last reason I'm going to discuss is people become attached to victim as their identity. It's usually at a subconscious level. They don't know that they're walking around thinking of themselves as a victim 24/7, but they do. So they don't want to grow, integrate, or heal, because then they would have to detach from that victim identity. So like I said, shadow work is just a tool. It's to bring the unconscious to conscious. And this is a great quote by Teal Swan. I don't know if you've ever are familiar with any of her work. She has some great work if you want to check her out on YouTube. But this quote I really thought fit well. Your shadow is nothing more than the part of you that is unconscious and therefore hidden from your awareness. The unconscious is filled with all kinds of things that you have judged as unacceptable about you. And shadow work is nothing more than the art of making the unconscious conscious and the unacceptable acceptable. So dealing with your subconscious victim identification patterns and mental constructs are crucial to shadow work. You have to shine that light, like we talked about. You have to shine that light so that you can get out of this cycle. So what is a victimhood mentality? Again, I would just like to define things. So victimhood mentality is a mentality centered on powerlessness, loss, suffering, and apathy. I like to call it the woe is me mentality. Oh, woe is me. They're doing this to me. They're doing that to me. Everything is someone else's fault. But you're in a state of apathy. You're not doing anything about it. You're not making any changes within yourself. You're just the perpetual victim. So a voluntary victim, and I'm not talking about a victim like, people that are truly being victimized all over the place right now. I'm talking about voluntary victims who are, putting themselves in this role and not trying to get themselves out of it. So the voluntary victim and victimizer are operating from the same frequency. So even though they're looking at themselves like, oh, they're the aggressor and I'm just this passive person. No, it's the same frequency. One person is just abusing externally, and the other person, they're abusing themselves. That's self-abuse when you hold this victim mentality. So you're just putting all of that towards yourself instead of another person, but it's the same frequency. It's the same type of energy. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. So, and like you were saying, it does take a lot of courage to confront a victimhood mentality. And it takes even more courage to actually pull yourself out of that once you're in it. And you have to start asking yourself a lot of tough questions, including what am I getting out of my victimhood? Because you are getting something out of it, or you would not be in it. And you have to be honest, brutally honest with yourself. What am I getting out of this?
Yes, it's just crazy, the master-slave dynamic there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The master-slave dynamic there. And a lot of people, if you just ask them, oh, would you ever want to be a slave? Of course not. They'll be offended. But yet they design their whole life, their whole being, their whole persona around everything that they do is acting like a slave, thinking like a slave, behaving like a slave. But if you ask them about slavery, no, I would never. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the victimization is everywhere now. It's very à la mode, right now.
It is, and that's perfect timing what you just said, because this is a post I put up recently. We have become a society focused on victimhood and symptom suppression. Most of us want to find someone to blame for every problem we have and negative feeling we experience. And then right after that, we want to ingest something to suppress the physical and mental symptoms that follow. We completely bypass root causes, shadow work, and accountability in the process. But changing your life in any real and meaningful way is and always will be an inside job. You can look all you want for someone else to save you, to fix you. It is all, you can get help and assistance and support from outside of you, but the real work is always going to be an inside job. Hence the shadow work.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So the first reason I had mentioned on the slide was the trauma-based victimhood. That's where it comes from, the trauma. So with trauma-based victim mentality, it's like you said, it's super present in modern day society. And part of the reason is because a lot of people are actually in real life being traumatized. But beyond that, just regular life challenges are now classified, even glorified as trauma. Everything's a trauma. Anybody hurt your feeling, oh, I've been traumatized. I don't know how to go on now. Just regular life challenges. So I don't want it to come off at all like I'm minimizing real traumas like assault, rape, abuse, severe emotional abuse, wartime crisis. We see some horrific things going on right now. The stuff you were talking about that they're doing in Canada, stuff like that. Those are real horrors. Those are real traumas that are very difficult to deal with. But the trauma that you feel as a result of, situations, both real and imagined traumas, you still don't want to have yourself become your permanent identity or something that is impenetrable barrier to self-empowerment and to healing. We all have, no matter what we've been through, we all have the potential to heal. We all have the potential to be empowered. So another one of the main reasons is that, people repress stuff because it's socially frowned upon. People, think don't like it, so we're going to just repress that part of ourselves. So focusing on the perception and judgments of others can keep us locked into harmful and limiting belief systems, harmful habits, and really harmful thought patterns, those cyclical thought patterns. So when we're doing shadow work, we have to come in tune with self, and we have to recognize our divine nature. That's really important part of shadow work, understanding our true divinity that's within. So, as we're going deeper and deeper into self, you start to realize, wow, okay, I am part of something really divine. I am part of the one, the all, something so much greater. So you have both this individual piece of it, and then you realize you're part of the whole as well. So then all of a sudden, it's not such a big deal what Susie down the street thinks of me. You're just realizing I'm this divine being that's super powerful and a divine creator. So what Gary thinks about, I really don't care. You know what I mean? So it just starts to carry less weight because you start to recognize who and what you are. So then you can, start that healing process and that self-acceptance process. And as you do that and lift yourself up, then you're able to lift up the community. Then you're able to lift up the collective. You can't do anything for the collective as far as lifting them or helping them ascend or helping us become more harmonious, peaceful, if none of those things are within you. So, most of us internalize, societal and familial norms at an extremely deep level. So, we just suppress those parts that are not, that people don't like, that are frowned upon, that we feel like will make us excluded from the group. Simply,
the super ego.
Yeah, exactly. We want to fit in. We want to belong. So, I'm just going to act like that part of me does not even exist so that I can fit in, so that they don't outcast me. Simply because something, and people just automatically associate shadow with bad. There are parts of yourself that you have repressed that aren't bad. They're not inherently bad, harmful, or negative. It's just repressed. It's just, you put it into your subconscious. Some things in there, it's going to be bad. It's going to be dark. But some of it is very beautiful, very, divine, very loving. It's all different parts of yourself have been repressed for different reasons. So another one is you repress what you think is unacceptable, immoral, or bad. And this is how you're the one who's doing the judging, not based on others. So many of us will do almost anything to avoid feeling bad about ourselves. in all of its nuanced form. So that means feeling shame, feeling guilt, feeling embarrassment, feeling unloved, feeling unworthy, all of those different things. People will do almost anything to avoid feeling that stuff. So if that means you got to repress a bunch of stuff, you're just gonna people just repress a bunch of stuff. So what can we do instead of repressing? We can often we repress so that we don't have to acknowledge or deal with the emotions, right? So when we do that, we're cheating ourselves. We're cheating ourselves out of so much of our potential. We're cheating ourselves out of our best life. We're often cheating ourselves out of a whole different destiny we could have had when we will not do this work. So, because you may be repressing a hidden gift, you might be repressing your calling or something that brings you, so much joy, like true joy within you. So when we have to remember we're immersed in a society run by moral relativism, not morality, not true objective morality, moral relativism. So we're repressing things that are deemed immoral, but these things really have nothing to do with morality. It's things we're repressing that they don't harm anyone. We're just repressing it because society says, nope, that's immoral. But the morals change whichever way the wind blows in our current society, because the controllers are implanting false morality, and the whole morality that they're implanting is only designed to keep them in control and to grow their power structure. So if you're basing who you are on moral relativism, you'll never be able to become the best version of yourself. So you are definitely doing harm to yourself when you deny who you are. And you're also making yourself a victim. And that's just, for a lot of people, is just easier. Then I can say, well, it's society's fault that I'm unhappy. It's society's fault that my life is a mess. It's society's fault that I feel bad all the time. It's not my fault. I don't have anything to do with it. How do you not have anything to do with your own life? Think about how that sounds. How do you not have anything to do with how your own life is going, how you feel inside, who you are, the actual morals you show, the actual integrity you have? That's all you. So tell people, ask yourself, who might you be if no one was watching? If you weren't worried about that moral relativism and those judgments, who might you be then?
That's a really good question.
It is, and I think people don't really like to challenge themselves in that way, because then if you come up with some answers you might like, then you got to put in the work to make that happen. So, but I think it's an important question for us to all ask ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the mirror thing once again. I mean, most people will loathe this work, so it's
Yeah.
very hard to tell yourself that you were wrong, that you
Mm-hmm.
did, that you're a bad person. You know that
Yeah.
the way that you behave in the now, it's bad. You're a bad person.
Yes.
It's
It's
very destructive.
right.
You're surrounded, and your mind is filled with lies about
Yes.
who you are, because
Right.
you're identifying yourself with something that comes from outside of you, and refusing to look inside,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
refusing to free yourself from these psychic chains. I
Yes. Oh, I like that. Psychic chains. Yes. That's a
Because
great
the
way of
the
putting it.
the slavery has been perfected.
Yes.
We don't have the chains anymore.
Yes.
We have invisible walls, invisible borders, invisible fears, invisible everything that controls every aspect of our life.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get free of that. And
Yeah.
this is, yes, this is the conditioning from your parents. This is what your the culture did to you. This is what your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
the people that you were around when you grew up, and when
Yep.
you grew up. So I mean,
all the programming, all the propaganda. I mean, we're flooded with this from, from
Some
your first
people,
memories.
yeah, some people have a painful youth
Yeah,
filled with horrors and things like that. Doesn't mean that you're a victim, doesn't mean that you cannot go over it. We
exactly.
all have our stories, we
Right.
all have our experience, but it doesn't mean that you
You don't have to
must.
be a slave to your story.
Yeah, exactly. You can change cycles in your life, psychic cycles and emotional cycles in
Yep.
your life. I take an example. Some people will have allergies and depressions in certain part of the year,
Hmm.
in certain times of the year, because there's traumas involved into this moment at this date. Something happened, and something, it triggers. Memories are triggers, and
Hmm.
they're, when you're confronting them, you're slowly freeing yourself from this memory, this experience, not by ignoring it, not
Right.
by throwing it away. It's confronting it.
Yep.
You
Yes.
the drawer opens, you take it.
Yep.
You have to go all the way. The last time that I had this drawer opened during my shadow work, I had 3 or 4 weeks of having to put myself up again, because of the remember the memory. I felt every single part of it
Right.
on my skin, the smell, the taste, everything. It's
Hmm.
very powerful, but
Yes.
we don't do it with respect and knowledge, we you
Yep.
people will fall. Psychosis,
Yep.
schizophrenia, things like that can happen. When you're triggered by these memories, it's never easy.
No,
Never.
it's not. It's not. It's not. And then, like you said, you have to, be willing to be honest with yourself, because you're going to have stuff that you confront that people did to you, and then also things that you did to other people, or things that you participated in before you recognized the truth, or before you awakened, things that, immoral behavior that you engaged in that resulted in harm. So you have to be, honest about all of it, and deal with all of it. Yeah, but like you said, it's painful. It and like, yeah, you can smell, taste, feel it.
Yeah.
When you really, get in there and start dealing with this stuff.
I have a question there from the people. How do you transmute this inherited mess? Inheritance. So if you
That's a
have
good question.
patterns from your parents or family or caretakers, how do you transmute this energy? I have an answer for you. Creation. I create. I change. I study. I live. I laugh. And I give myself the permission for not being perfect and make mistakes.
Yeah. No, yeah.
We
Grant
are
yourself
not our
grace.
programming.
Yep.
We have the choice of letting it go.
Mm-hmm.
Is it easy? No, not easy, because it's ingrained in you. Your parents were treating you some ways, and they told you lies after lies after lies. You have to conform. You have to, and go in the cube and stay in the cube. But we have to, with my children, I do the invert of what my parents were doing. This is how you're doing it. you create.
No, I agree. Absolutely. Creation is powerful, and that's what we are. We are born to create. We are powerful creators. We've created this. And just like I tell people, if we can create this hell that we're living in, we can also create a heaven to live in. We're
Yeah.
powerful creators.
Yeah, fearing the emotional pain of shadow work.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest reason, because feeling fear when it comes to doing shadow work, I get it. I get it. Like, it's not a desirable feeling,
Mm.
but it's worth it. So confronting the unknown in any sense, yep, it's scary. Most of us don't want to feel intense pain. It can feel like literally unbearable sometimes when you're doing the work, but we can't let that fear debilitate us. We can't let that fear stop us, because our overall quality of life depends on doing this work. It affects our emotional balance. It affects our spiritual elevation and ascension, our physical well-being, literally our health, because things that are repressed will now cause you disease in your body.
Yep.
It affects your mental health. It can cause mental illness within you when you're repressing these things and suppressing these things and not dealing with your shadow and not dealing with your subconscious. So there is an absolute liberation that comes when you confront your demons and you uncover what is buried in your subconscious. I mean, there is a freedom that you start to feel when you really start doing this work, where you don't worry about, you don't fear it anymore. You're like, I can deal with the emotional pain because what I get out of it is so much greater.
Yes.
The freedom is like phenomenal. It's next level. So, once you get into it and start doing it, I really do feel like that fear of it will dissipate. So, because within that darkness, we may discover some of the most vibrant and beautiful parts of ourselves. And we can also begin to heal. We can break old patterns. We can break old cycles. We can break old habits, destructive patterns, destructive cycles,
Yeah.
destructive and harmful habits. Because we're going to realize they no longer serve me. They no longer serve me. They no longer, they're not, I can't take them where I want to go. They don't fit in my journey anymore. And so you can start to transmute and you can start to integrate those parts of yourself. So now you can use that same energy for something useful, for something helpful, for something elevating. Like you said, you can use it to create.
Yes.
Yep. This was another quote that I really liked, because, like I said, shadow work is a tool to bring the unconscious to conscious. So shadow work is going within the dark recesses of your psyche and finding the shadows that lurk, the parts of you that you've repressed or rejected through the years. Find them, feel them, heal them, and let it all go. This is the kind of spiritual work that leads to finding peace and joy. I love that quote. Yeah, I love that quote. I think it speaks for itself. It just really encapsulates exactly, what we're talking about. Now, and this one was the second most popular reason for people not wanting to do the work, the responsibility that comes with healing, and that comes with bringing yourself out of ignorance into knowledge. Because now what are you going to do? What are you going to do with what you know now? So when we choose not to do the work and stay in a state of ignorance and victimhood, then you got someone to blame for all the problems. You got someone to blame for your state of being. You got someone to blame for your unwellness, everything. So whether it's your parents, whether it's the government, your spouse, your boss, other races, whoever, you got someone you could put the blame on, but it's never you. You pointing a million fingers outwards, but you're never pointing any here. So this type of mentality is deeply disempowering, and you are cheating yourself out of the boundless possibilities for achievements, for joy, for elevated states of being, elevated states of consciousness that you could attain if you would just start doing this work. So taking responsibility for your life, I'm not saying ignore real world problems. I'm not saying, oh, just work on yourself, that you're the only problem. That's not what I'm saying. There are very real problems in the world, real life problems. There's abusers, there's manipulators, there's programmers, there's people doing some sick stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What it means is you're going to deal with that differently after you do this work, because you're going to be approaching all of these situations, these real problems, from a place of empowerment and a place of sovereignty. So you're going to deal with these challenges completely differently once you start doing this work. You're not
Yeah.
going to be, eek, woe is me, somebody come save me, daddy government, please save me, someone come save me. You're
Yeah,
going to start to
the
feel it.
response is I mean, how I deal with that tonight today is um I can observe myself during an interpersonal relationship, during a conversation, during a podcast. I'm able to pause and look at the reaction that I have. Is it necessary that I have an emotional response to that?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Because this is all about control,
Hmm.
but it's control of yourself. It's sovereignty.
Yes. Yes.
So, and this, what is very fascinating, it's the effect of getting the neuroticism down a notch, because 99% of the people are neurotic
Yes.
at a level or another.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
what we're doing is
I was neurotic.
lessening. Yeah,
Working on myself. Very neurotic.
we're emotional beings. We
Yeah.
are social beings. So we're responding with our emotions. This is how we communicate with our emotion. Music, it's emotion.
Yes. Yes.
It's an extension of our emotions. So it's very important to have it, but
Yes.
not get controlled by it.
Yes.
And the worst is fear.
Yes.
Fear controls everything.
Yes.
It stops you from growing up. It stops you from being smarter. It stops you from doing the shadow work
Yep.
because of the laziness, the intellectual laziness,
Yes.
and the
No.
cowardice and the ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
And ignorance, in the presence of knowledge, ignorance is the measure of a bad person. This is a quote from Mark Passio.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you're ignoring
Willful
who
ignorance.
you are, then this is going to be a cause and effect, because we're in the natural law realm.
Yes.
We are in the principle of correspondence. We are in the principle of mentalism. We are
Yes.
in the principle of rhythm,
Yes.
because rhythm is cycles,
Yes.
is pendulum swings.
Yep.
So if you lessen the swings, then when it's gonna get back, it's gonna be way better, or
Yes. Because right
less
now we're in
painful,
way too
let's say.
much of the extremes.
Yes, exactly.
On both ends, you have the false light extreme, where everything is woo woo and lilies and daisies, and oh, if you even just acknowledge the bad stuff going on in the world, you're causing it. What? You have that extreme, and then you have, of course, the dark extreme of all this violence and evil and wickedness and immorality. So they're very, we have to start reining this in,
Yes.
so we're not in these huge swings like this. And I know it's a tall order, doing this work, and none of us are perfect, and we're all, this is continual work that you will do throughout your life. But you
Sure.
have to start somewhere. You have to
Yep.
start at some point if you really want the change that you claim that you want. You have to start. And we can be patient with ourselves and grant ourselves grace, as well as others patience and grace, but we have to be willing to at least do the work.
Well, we have to start somewhere.
Yes, we have to start somewhere. We all have to start somewhere. So the last one I want to talk about was when victim has become your identity. Some people, and I think we've all probably met people like this, where it's
Hmm.
like when you have a conversation with them, it's like, do they realize how much they're, you know what I mean? Blaming every aspect of their life on someone, or just complaining nonstop. Like, no gratitude in any sentence that they, just a total victim identity. So, victim mentalities, it can grow very rapidly once you start to take this on, and it can take over your total identity. So in with most people, when they're doing this, it's all happening on a subconscious level. Again, that's why shadow work is so important. So it's imperative that we shine a light on this so that this unconscious state of mind, so we can confront it head on, shine that flashlight. Okay, wait a minute. Why do I see myself as a victim all the time? Because when we see ourselves as victims, we see ourselves literally as powerless. We're powerless. Whatever way I get tugged, that's the way I'm gonna go. I'm gonna just fall over by the slightest wind, by the slightest breeze. I'm powerless. Whatever they do to me, I'm just gonna sit back and take it. I'm totally apathetic. So when you're powerlessness, it's easy for them to manipulate and control you, because what you're looking for now is a savior. You're looking for something outside of you to save you because you feel powerless. So you start depending on daddy government for everything, for religious leaders, celebrities, anybody that will tell you what to do and how to do it, what to think and when to think it. You're like, thank you so much. Oh, and when you're in this mindset, you are living completely outside of natural law. You have willingly surrendered your inherent rights, your sovereignty, and you are at the mercy of the authority of others. You are under their control at this point, under their thumb. And this is the last quote I included in here, which I love. Being a victim of an unfortunate event should not be confused with playing the victim. The former is not a choice, but the latter, if you let it, can be a way of life. And that is what we do not want. You do not want victimhood to be a way of life for you. Just think about how sad of an existence that is. For just victimhood to be your identity, to be your life.
I know a lot of people like that.
Me too. Me too.
A crazy bunch of them.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, the shadow work will set you free. So that's our call. Let's set ourselves free.
Well, we can say freer. Let's say.
Yes, yes. Absolutely. So let me just stop the share here.
Awesome.
All right.
I like it.
Thank you.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What was the cause of your spiritual awakening?
Well, it was kind of like, for me, it was like a slow burn. I was recognizing a lot of things, like individual things, like this doesn't make sense. This is totally wrong. Like even as a little kid, like I went to a Catholic school for some of my formative education. Even then, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like I just could not buy in. I think, we were forced to go to church and stuff like that during school hours. And I'm just like, to me, I was like, you're telling me in one sentence that God is all love. And then the next sentence, he has all these petty qualities that I see in people, like the pettiest of qualities, like super petty. Like, so God is all love and super petty. I was like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And something's not, adding up here. So, for me, like I said, it was a slow burn. And I just realized, more and more things that didn't add up. I first got introduced to different ways of thinking in my early 20s. When I was 12, my sister and my niece were murdered by her husband. And it left me dealing with a lot of anger, a lot of depression, a lot of things that I had no idea how to deal with. And I just felt like I was just getting angrier and angrier. And I'm like, I don't want to be here if this is how I have to be. So I read Seat of the Soul and Conversations with God. And it changed my perspective on so many things. And I was like, okay, there's a totally different way to look at spirituality, to look at our purpose here, to look at why we're here, to look at our divine nature. So it kind of started from there because it opened my eyes to another way of thinking and being and seeing things. And, I just slowly, it was just like a slow progression. I just learned more, grew more, learned more, grew more. And then, after, like I said, after my husband passed, I was, in a really dark place and trying to work my way out of that. And, they say when the student's ready, the teacher will come. I ran across a Mark Passio video and I was like, this is because like I said, I had all these pieces. I'm seeing all this stuff is wrong, but I'm like, why can't we ever fix it? Like, why are we stuck in this cycle? What you know what I mean? No matter what, we stay stuck in the cycle, and everything just keeps getting worse and worse for us, and better for the controllers. Why? Like, and natural law. I was like, this is in the occulted knowledge that he enlightened me on, and natural law. It just put it all together for me, and that was just like the aha moment. Like, I was like, now I get it. I get the full picture now. So yeah, I breezed through all of those 3-hour podcasts of his like it was nothing. Every day I was just looking forward to getting to listen to that. I would just listen to him while I was working on my computer. That's all I would listen to, and breeze through them. And he constantly has calls to action during his podcast, and it just kept weighing on me. And I'm like, you know what, you've been going through a lot, and you still got a lot in you, a lot of love in you, and you can pour this love right into this podcast, right into trying to teach people about natural law. You can pour all this love right in there, and that's what I decided to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thank you for sharing. It's not a. It was a little the same. It has been small doses, and yeah, Mark Passio as such has been
Yeah.
slapping me around
Yeah.
for years. I keep on getting back to the old stuff, and I'm still learning
Yes.
from the Magi's and Michael Tessarian's, all these great teachers
Yes.
brought us precious information and knowledge, and
Yes.
without them we wouldn't be there.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean,
So
look,
I
look how
have
Jung brought this the concept of shadow to mainstream popularity like this that we're even
yeah,
talking about.
Carl Jung started it and coined the term and
Yeah.
talked a little bit about it, but there was a way
Oh yeah, he just
more.
popularized it. It was,
Yeah,
this is a very ancient practice.
yeah, that's the unconscious conscious thing there. And I mean, for me it has been very painful. Like I mentioned you, when I stumbled upon Mark's work, is it was like fucking slapping me around
Yeah.
across the face, and punching me in the heart. And because I realized that I was fucking wrong, about everything, about myself, and about the relationship with the people around me, the people that are around me, everything was a mess.
Yes.
And I had the chance to have my beautiful wife with me, to be there at my side, even in the darker parts.
Yeah.
And I'm very 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 grateful for even for this fight, for being a warrior for myself, and better myself, not only for me, but
Yeah.
for my wife and for my children. you
Yep.
know I cannot, essentially what people forget is that you cannot give something you don't have.
Yes.
So if you don't have self-love and self-respect, you cannot give it to your children. If you have some, you cannot give it to your friend and your family. It's all going to be fake.
Mm-hmm.
And some people like Cynthia and me, I see through these people. I don't have to ask them. I see through them
You can
by
feel
the
the
way they
energy right
behave.
away. Yeah.
By the way they behave, the way they talk, what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You have these people who are always in the storm. I'm sure you've seen these people,
Yeah.
and it's very hard to take them back to the ground. And they'll, okay, yes, it was bad. Yes, you're suffering, but we have to go. You have to move forward,
Right. That doesn't
and
give you the right to make other people suffer just because you suffered. That
because
doesn't
there's a
give you carte
lot of
blanche.
that, projection,
Right.
gaslighting, and
Right.
and and things like that are very, very dangerous.
Yes.
And the government uses it, and then the people are using it, and the TV, the media are using gaslighting, and false information and over stimulation, entertainment, you
Right.
know all to take back your attention and put it somewhere else than where it should be, inside,
Yep.
and confronting yourself, and things like that. And for me, meditation has been a great factor.
Yes.
And then being able to be alone
Yes.
in my head, not necessarily physically,
Yeah.
but being able to even if I have noise and people around me, I'm at my job, I can be alone and I can introspect, I can contemplate over questions, over things, and aspect and feelings that you have, because no details should be left untouched
Yep.
or unobserved.
Yep. You got to keep going down layer after layer. Well, why is that? Well, wait, why am I like that? Well, why did I
And
do
then you have synchronicity.
that? Yeah.
Synchronicities, you're gonna,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're starting to see it. You know,
Yes.
you
I
have
see it all the time
your
now.
gut instinct. That's starting to. This is how I call this the sixth sense. The gut instinct.
Mm-hmm.
You have this feeling inside. It's fishy. You don't know about the situation or something like that, and you have this feeling inside of you, and you're gonna have good feelings. Warmth. When you have interpersonal personal relationship with others, and people just care. The thing that I hear the most is I don't care.
Yep. Yep. You hear that a lot. I don't care.
And it's so the power of words,
They feel like
when you're telling
it's
them
not
to let
directly
other people.
affecting them. They don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fine. My
it,
family's eating.
it's
I don't
scary.
care.
It's scary because people don't care about themselves.
Yep.
They care about money, they care about material,
Mm-hmm.
and they care about what people think about them.
Mm-hmm. They're trying to impress people that don't care about them either. And you're
So
spending all this time trying to impress
I
them.
mean, it's
They don't
it's
even, they don't
all
care
a
either.
it's all an ugly tree of deception and
Mm-hmm.
and and evil,
Mm-hmm.
and it it's it's swallowing you into a vortex. And
Yep.
when you're in this position there and you're spiraling out of control, it's really hard to see the light.
Yeah, it
But
is.
if you're not into darkness, you cannot see the light. You have to take your courage and go in the dark corners and the dark rooms of your mind, and exploring the external world, because they're going together. The
Yes.
relationship, the cultures, the government, the all the things that are all intertwined together.
Yeah.
We have to make the best of it as
Right.
humans.
Right.
The situation, and other people will have more scarce situation, condition, things like that. So it's and I just want to say something positive, because we're exposing a lot of the dark corners.
Right.
But at my experience, I became someone else.
Yeah.
I'm able, this is what shadow work is doing. I'm able to look at myself in the mirror now and not being in contradiction. I can confront myself. I can introspect my conversation. I can observe things. I can study things. I I have control over my emotions. Does it mean that I'm not gonna lose my fucking mind tomorrow because of something happening? I don't know. Okay, life is life. But for now, all I have all I have to care about, it's the now, what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Tomorrow doesn't exist. Yesterday is gone.
Right.
What I can I do now in the now?
Yep.
So first thing the people do is shadow working. The
Hmm.
first step is shadow working and learning natural law.
Yes. I
Because
agree.
natural law is intimately connected together.
Yep. Because you won't even be able to really grasp the concept without doing that work along with learning about natural law. I'll put it like this, it'll just be a concept. It won't be something that you can embody and put into action. You'll just be learning the concept of natural law. You won't be able to embody it without doing that work.
I mean, it's a crazy ride for the people. If I know some people, they're already probably doing it. But it's a wild ride.
It is. It is.
So I mean, how much do you care
Right.
really
Right.
about yourself, and your well-being, and how much do you care about the people you love?
Right.
Because I'm gonna repeat it once again. We're all brothers and sisters in this world. We're all brothers and sisters.
We are all of the one.
There's no separation between us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all come from the same place,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's consciousness.
Yeah, we have to start looking at humanity and nature. It's all connected. We are part of nature. It's all connected. And we have to start. My actual next podcast is going to be about true care and the great work, because that is, once you understand that connectedness, you can't help but to have true care. You can't help but to do the great work once you really understand that connectedness.
Absolutely.
What else is there to do?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
So when it comes to introspection and what keeps us from moving forward is the limitation that we give ourselves, and you explained it in your slides.
Mm-hmm.
The limitation, the justification that we give to ourselves to stay on our lazy asses and
Mm-hmm.
not doing anything.
Yep.
And the world is filled with suffering.
Yes. Intense suffering. Intense suffering.
And me alone on my in my fucking countryside place there, I cannot do much. I'm doing a podcast. I'm very busy with my family life, but I'm taking care. I'm working in a community place. I'm paid, but I'm working for the people, for and helping for food and things like that. So what are you doing with your life now? What do you want first, and then what are you waiting for doing something? Because if you're here tonight on the podcast, it's because you care,
You care.
at least a little bit.
Yep.
And I'm not talking to you, Cynthia,
No, I know. Yeah.
but this is where it's fucking it's fucking hard. You're gonna take a fucking piece of paper and a pencil, and you're gonna write every justification that you give yourself of not doing the fucking work,
Yeah.
and then take a break, put the paper aside, and come back 2 days after or 3 days after, because it's not because it's alarming, but it's alarming.
Yeah.
I see just around me the suffering, drug addict, uh, uh, alcohol problems, poverty. I see all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mental illnesses. I'm
Yep.
working with them.
Yep. It's
So I see
it's
it.
real. It's real
I
out here.
see it.
Yep.
So what we have to do is love,
Mhm.
self love, empathy, cooperation,
Community. We have to bring back community
community.
where you
Yes,
care about the
communication.
people around you, where you support the people around you.
Yes.
I'm a part of a. And I check this out if you're and like well, you don't have to necessarily even be in the Metro Atlanta area, but collectively sustainable.org. It's a community that I'm part of, and their whole initiative is to bring back real community where you on the app you can connect in your state with people local, with you, so we can start growing our own food, reaching out to each other, building communities, building relationships with the people that are around us, getting back to truly caring for one another, caring
Yeah.
and taking responsibility for our own lives, for our food supply, for what we are creating, what we're building, what we're wearing, really bringing that back. So, yeah, I recommend people, check that community out, that site out, because um, if you're waiting for the current system to change or to save you, good luck with that. Because that's not what it's designed. It's designed to do exactly what it's doing, and they have no intentions of changing that. So you
Yeah.
can wait, you can wish, you can think you got your savior president in there now. They're all puppets. Every last one of them, puppets, puppets, puppets. They,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like how Mark phrased it. They're just fucking retarded. At this
basically,
point, if you
yeah,
can witness all the pain, if you can see it and you don't care, you're just fucking retarded.
yeah,
That's it.
yep.
I
So,
I mean,
some
I
make
mean, how much deeper do we can really
yeah,
go, to explain that fucking poverty and blackmail and gaslighting and taxes and voting is evil. I mean, government is the definition of violence.
mm-hmm.
They
The
steal.
definite. They operate just like the mafia. I don't see how people don't see the parallel. They operate literally just like the
Absolutely.
mafia. A large scale mafia is how they operate.
Absolutely. Oh yes. And it's so blatant.
Blatant. It's super
Yes.
blatant. So it's like, how are
Yeah.
you not seeing this?
So on that, I mean it's we're already at an hour and 15
Yeah,
minutes,
I know.
and I have to go. But I want to thank everyone. Thank you so much for joining us
Yes.
during the live and afterward on YouTube, Facebook, and or Odyssey. I suggest everybody to go on Odyssey, and then everybody you have access to all the podcasts that I uploaded there. But the YouTube is the biggest one. There's the short that are there. I started to do shorts and things like that. There's the francophone, the French part two. Um, yeah, there's a lot of things coming, and I was inspired by a lot of different folks from uh, in the Great Work Network and outside of it. Um, the ones that the one that's giving their best to share the information about natural law and
Yeah.
and the quest for sovereignty, and not only for us but for the children and
Yes.
for the children of the people and the children of your children, you know, building a better world based on empathy and cooperation and communication, you know, and care and love, you know, based on nature.
Yes.
Simple, simply explained, nature laws, natural law. This is why we're calling that. You know, they're the universal laws. Call
Yeah.
it whatever you want. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Spiritual law, universal law, God's law. It's the laws of this universe, and you can't change them. So you need to learn how to live in harmony with them because you can't change them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Cynthia,
Thank you for having me.
again for joining me tonight. I appreciated every minute of it. It was a beautiful, beautiful slides,
Thank you.
beautiful quotes there. You're gonna have to share them to me so I can share it on the
Yeah,
LIBERcast.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it very much. Uh thank you for your time and your kindness to join me and the other people. So
Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do.
I mean I'm just a simple man, you know. I do my best, and this is what people should do. Don't wait that it's gonna be perfect. You're not never gonna begin, you know. It's awkward in the beginning, you know.
Oh,
You're
so
not.
awkward. I look back on my I'm like, this was terrible.
Yeah, it's still awkward, you know, from time
That's
to
okay. That we persevere. Keep going. It's worth
yes,
it.
here we go.
Yep.
So thank you everyone, and next one is gonna be in French. So for the English people, see you soon, and for the French people, see
Infinite
you
grace.
in a couple of days. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.